Josh, very good to see you. Let's start with the basic question. When should you start taking money out of your 401k? A 401k, one of the most powerful retirement savings tools available, but if you take the money out too early, you could face penalties. Wait too long, and the RMDs could push you into a higher tax bracket. So let's start with the basics, because for the most part, employees tend to save in a tax-deferred 401k. Why is that important?
Well, it's important because we were all told, hey, you should put the money away tax deferred when you're working, and then your taxes will probably go down when you retire. Well, the reality of that is it may not be true for everyone,
Right.
or it may not be true for most people. So the thing people really got to understand is this is a big bucket of money that you've never paid taxes on. And so to be strategic about how and when you use the money is very important, because it can have effects on not only the taxes on your IRA, but also the taxes on your Social Security and Medicare, which is the
Right.
IRMA tax.
Right.
And it can cause a lot of things, your net investment income tax, and the taxes can really pile up
Right.
if you don't have a strategy on how and when you're going to take those funds out of the IRA.
Right. And we're going to talk more about those strategies in a second, but I do want to talk about what happens if you take the money out too early. If you take it out before 59 and a half, can you explain what you give up?
Yeah, so if you take it out before 59 and a half, you have to pay your regular tax, which for most people is going to be in the neighborhood of 30% if you include federal and state and local taxes, and could cause you to go into a higher tax bracket than you're currently in. But then you're also going to pay an additional 10% penalty for going before 59 and a half. So in this case, your $1 really turns into 60 cents.
Yeah, that's incredible when you look at it like that. Okay, now on the other hand, once you reach 59 and a half, you're allowed to tap that 401k. How are the withdrawals taxed, and how can those distributions affect your tax bracket?
Yeah, so those are taxed as regular income, just like you went out and got another job and made the money. Right, so that goes right on top of your tax bracket. Can cause you to jump into another tax bracket. Higher tax brackets can also cause some hidden taxes to arise if you're taking Social Security or your Medicare or some other things. Can cause additional taxes on those things as well.
Mm-hmm. And now, if we don't choose to take the money out, the government does have a plan for us. Walk me through RMDs. What are they, and when do they start?
Yeah, so RMD stands for Required Minimum Distribution. And this really means that the IRS kind of got tired of waiting on you to take money out of your account, so they're going to make you take it out for the sole purpose that they can tax you on the money that they didn't tax you previous. Mm-hmm. So for most people nowadays, it's going to be 73 to 75 years old based upon your age. And it's, required to take that money out a certain percentage. It starts out about 3.77% and goes up based upon your life expectancy. Mm-hmm. So it does escalate as you get older. Mm-hmm. And so that becomes a compounding problem, because your account is hopefully getting bigger every year, but also the percentage that you have to withdraw is getting bigger every year. So your check is growing in two different directions, right, on the withdrawals every year.
Yeah. A bigger nest egg can mean a bigger tax bill if it's in that tax deferred 401k.
Correct.
So that being said, Josh, let's say that I come into your office today, I sit down, I'm like, hey, I've done a really good job saving in my 401k. I'm concerned about how this will affect me in retirement. What do I do today to mitigate those taxes?
Yeah, well, first of all, you kind of got to see how much of that money do you need to create income to fund your retirement, and then what are the taxes going to be? But the big thing that we talk a lot about, Erin, is the Roth conversions. How do we get that from a taxable bucket to a tax-free bucket? Right? Because the thing you got to think about is all these years in there, you've been putting money in, and then you have the glory of compound interest. Your money's growing and growing and growing. So unfortunately, you put $1 in 30 years ago, but now you're going to owe taxes on $100. And so the sooner we can figure out how we're going to pay those taxes versus waiting on the IRS to tell us how we're going to pay the taxes is really the key to paying the least amount of taxes on it.
Right.
And for those, we talked about this not too long ago, but if you're 59 and a half and you have money at your 401k and you want to do Roth conversions, most 401ks don't allow for that. And so therefore you would have to roll that to a traditional IRA, and then you can start doing the Roth conversions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're still working and you have a few years before you're going to retire, a good idea might be to look into, does your employer offer Roth 401ks,
right,
and see if that makes sense for you. Now, in some cases, people that are very near retirement, it might actually make sense to not do the Roth until after retirement and do the conversion. It depends on the math. And the big thing you really want to understand in all of this planning is, does it actually save you money? Right?
Yeah.
Everything sounds good in theory, but you have to be able to do the math and decide, Roth sounds like a great idea, but does it actually save you money? Does it save you tax money? Does it make your account grow better? Does it give you more options? And those are questions you really need to have the answer to, and not just say, oh, I heard a video on Roth conversions, I should do them.
Oh, right? Yes. No,
because it's very specific on how and when it works and how it actually saves you money.
Right, right. And one of the goals, though, being in the end, sliding into retirement with some tax diversification, right?
Yes. Yeah, you need to have different buckets of tax, just like you have different buckets of investments, because that's what gives you the most flexibility in retirement and will allow you to make quality decisions on how and when you spend what money to keep your taxes low, and to make sure you have a really quality retirement plan financially.
Let's do it. You do the math for me, though, Josh. I'm not going to do any math. That's my goal.
That's what we're here for.
Good. All right. Well, hey, if somebody would like to sit down with you, talk about, withdrawals from their 401k, Roth conversions, Roth 401ks, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, they can call us directly at the office at 260-488-8300, or jump on our website at millardfg.com, and we'd love to meet with them and help.
Great. Josh, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.